Hello everyone and welcome to this week's theory quiz. I hope you've had a nice week and had some fun singing. So we're going to go ahead and look at last week's questions first, so go find your old answers. So time for question number 1. What major key signature has 4 sharps? It is E major. So we can either just know that or look at the last sharp and go up 1 semitone. So our last sharp is a D sharp, go up, we get to E. That's E major.
Good. So question number 2, true or false, the third scale degree is also called the mediant. This is true. We can say that the third scale degree is the mediant. So well done if you got that.
Question number 3, what comes next in the sequence? So we've got C major, F major, B flat major, E flat major. It's going to be A flat major because we're going backwards through the circle of fifths. So each time we're going down a fifth and adding a flat. So C major has no flats, F major has 1, B flat has 2, E flat has 3, and A flat has 4. So well done if you got that and spotted that sequence.
Question number 4, true or false, it is possible to have an interval of a perfect second. No, it's false. We can't have an interval of a perfect second because we can only have perfect fourths, perfect fifths, and perfect octaves. So don't be caught out. Perfect intervals are very special. There's very few of them. So that one's false.
Question number 5, in the key of D major, what are the roots of these chords? So remember they're Roman numerals. So for chord 1 in D major, it's D. Chord 2, it's E. Chord 4, it's G, and chord 5, it's A. And each one has a triad built on top of it.
So question number 6 was this hypothetical question about Miss Morgan. How would she turn a major triad into a minor triad? Well, Miss Morgan, what would you do?
I would lower the middle note by a semitone.
Very good. So that turns the interval between the root of the chord and the third from a major third into a minor third, and hence the name major triad versus minor triad.
So question 7, true or false? It is possible to have an interval of a major seventh. This is true. Yes. So well done.
Question number 8, another true or false. We had lots of true or false this week. The keys of F sharp major and G flat major sound exactly the same. This is true, they do. They're what we call enharmonic equivalents, because F sharp, if you think about it on the piano, is actually the same black note as G flat. And so even though F sharp major and G flat major have what look like quite different key signatures, one's got lots of sharps, one's got lots of flats, they actually sound the same because they use the same notes on the piano.
So question number 9, explain how the time signatures of 9/8 and 3/2 are similar. Well, they are both in triple time, so both have 3 lots of beats. So in 9/8 we have 3 dotted crotchets, and in 3/2 we have 3 minims. So both triple time.
Question number 10, what is the technical name of the 4th scale degree? It is the subdominant because it's 1 immediately below the dominant, which is number 5.
Question 11, when describing time signatures, what does compound mean? It means that the beats are split into 3, so often they are dotted crotchets, like 6/8 and 9/8. We have dotted crotchets, which can be split into 3 separate quavers.
Question number 12, what is the highest orchestral instrument? It is the piccolo, which is in the woodwind family of instruments, and it's even higher than the flute, and the flute is already very high.
Question 13, how do we change a major scale into a melodic minor scale? So because this scale is different up and down, when we go up, to change it we need to lower the third only. When we go down, we need to lower the 7th, 6th, and 3rd by a semitone. It's probably easier if you can see a keyboard to go through this, and maybe we can pause this, go to a keyboard, and really understand how we formed this scale.
So question number 14, what is the lowest instrument of the string family? It is the double bass. So called because it often doubles the bass line. So you might have put cello here, but don't be deceived. Double bass is lower than the cello.
And the last question of last week, sort the following 8 items into 2 categories where we have a whole host of settings here. So we have the morning settings and the evening settings. So for the morning, so for matins, we can sing the Te Deum and Jubilate and the Benedictus and Benedicite. They're our most normal ones, but we can also sometimes sing the Venite. It's not so common, so don't worry if you didn't recognise that one. For evensong, we had the Nunc Dimittis and Magnificat, but an alternative setting is a Cantate Domino, which you may sing very, very rarely. So well done if you got those all correct. So on to this week's quiz. So new piece of paper, new questions, let's go. So question number 1, we got a new piece this week to look at. First question is for the tempo. What does maestoso ma non troppo lento mean? Let's try breaking that up. So we've got maestoso and lento as our main words, and then try and figure out those little linking words in the middle. Also think, when the Kyrie eleison, what would suit this mood?
So question number 2 is on what is written next. So what does crotchet equals 76 mean? So this is still part of the tempo marking, or the tempo and character marking. What does that mean as exactly as you possibly can describe? Crotchet equals 76.
Question number 3. So firstly, what is the key signature? So just spell it out very literally. And what key are we in? So 2 parts to that.
Question number 4. What is the dynamic here at these bars? And then once you've got that, what is one possible translation into English of this term? So the dynamic will have an Italian word. How can we translate that into English and actually understand what it's asking for?
Question 5. So in bar 37, it says cresc molto. What does that mean? So maybe try and think what cresc is short for. That might be a massive clue. And then what does it mean?
So question number 6, list in order from shortest to longest all the different note values which feature in this bar, both from the left hand and the right hand. So this is a bar from the organ part of this same piece. So with both the top stave and the bottom stave, the right hand and the left hand, see how many different note values or different note lengths you can see and order them from shortest to longest. Quite a few there, haven't we?
Question 7. So looking at this whole line, what is the triad in the last bar? So look at your key signature, like all the notes. So the organ part has all the notes that the singers are singing. And look, what do we have?
Question number 8, true or false. These bars here contain syncopation. So have a think. Do you know what syncopation means? Have we spoken about it? And C, you've got to look quite closely at the different beats of each bar here. The time signature is 4/4, I can tell you that. But just have a look. Syncopation is a rhythmic concept. So see if that jogs your memory.
I really like this piece.
It's great, isn't it? I did it as a duet with Mr. Beach, actually.
Oh, I've done that.
Have you done that as well? Oh, it was good fun. It was, yeah.
Question number 9, another true or false. The second scale degree is also called the supertonic. So think of super and sub, what they mean. They have very specific terms and definitions. So second scale degree is called the supertonic. True or false?
Question number 10, true or false again. Chord 1 is the triad that we form on scale degree number 1. So here you're linking two concepts. So the concept of scale degrees and the concept of triads. So remember, with scale degrees, we just give them normal numbers. With triads, we give them Roman numerals. So is it all right for us to say that chord Roman numeral 1 is the triad that we form on scale degree number 1? True or false?
Question 11. Is it possible to have a crotchet which sounds longer than a minim? And here Mr Morrell put a little hint to think about tempo. So I'll leave that with you to think about.
Question number 12. Oh, another true or false. Lots of true or false. D major and B minor have the same key signature. So have a think. See if you know if that's true or false.
Question 13. Another true or false. A major and C sharp minor have the same key signature. Now try and think, how do we get from a major to its relative minor? Are we going in the right direction here?
Oh, it's not a true or false question. Oh well, another time. Question 14. What musical era comes between the Baroque and the Romantic? Okay, so remember, we split music history, or Western music history of the last, 500, 600 years or so, into different, what we call eras. So I've got two of them here, Baroque and Romantic. There's one that comes in between those two. So what is it called?
And finally, what year did I start as organ scholar? So some of you might have been here for that. Fun fact, non-serious question, but if you know, put it down. And that is the end of this week's quiz. So well done. So thank you for watching. And I hope you all have a good week with your team meetings and rehearsals and lessons. If you've got any questions, then feel free to contact us on Teams or with our email address. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week.